How's your morning going, mate?
Yeah, not too bad.
You down south, are you?
No, I'm kind of in the Byron Ballina area.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think you're all around there, aren't you?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, the other guys are they're a little more north in the kind of ocean shores. I don't know if you know ocean shores, but
Oh, yeah. That's I do know. I know what you're speaking about. Yeah.
yeah. So they're only kind of like 20 minutes up the road, pretty much 25 minutes.
You guys living that close, you'd be able to have proper jams and that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, even though we're close, it's still really tough. I mean, it's because everyone's got their businesses and their families.
Yeah.
So it's more just kind of like trying to schedule the time is always
That's
a
the
real
hard part.
challenge. Yeah, absolutely. Real challenge. So you don't really, consider those things too much when you're kind of starting out. But yeah, when you start to get in the thick of it down the track.
When it becomes a career.
Yeah, and everyone has their respected families and things they got to tend to. It's really tough. I mean, I'm the one in the band. I run a studio, a music studio, do producing and mixing and stuff like that. And so I usually have a space to ground us and kind of get us rehearsing and things like that. So that kind of takes care of that. But yeah, it's just managing the time.
Yeah, I totally get it. I've been a musician for years, and once my daughter was born, I only got about 3 years. Like, she was 3, and I had to kind of say to my bands, I can't manage this. So I can't imagine what it's like being in an extensive touring band. So
yeah, we don't tour that much. Like we're not, we haven't been touring that much because we haven't really released anything. So to some degree, there's no point to kind of tour anymore. But yeah, I mean, off the back of what we've done, we can still do some shows here and there. But yeah, it's never ending, kind of trying to shuffle and get everyone's respected plans and what they're doing, and try to calculate it to where we can get in there and do a jam and come up with some stuff. So yeah, time, as we say, time will tell.
Well, speaking of tours, because you've got next Saturday, January 28th, you've got the other festival at the Tivoli.
Yeah, so a gig.
A gig?
There's a gig on the calendar to kick off the year.
Yeah,
which is a good start.
It's a good lineup. You've got Osaka Punch.
Yeah. We've played with them before a couple of times, which has been great. And they're really, really great at what they do. Entertainment wise and music wise, and they just put on a great show. Great guys. So yeah, it was pretty easy to kind of to have them on board. Our tour manager Yogi Matthew Donham, who has road sick and stuff. It's his festival.
Okay.
Yeah, he kind of germinated the idea, and we've always wanted to kind of partner, kind of join up and be on a festival and create something. But it's predominantly his thing, his idea and his festival. So he chooses, because he does what he does, and he's, I guess, on the ground everywhere, like looking. And he also has another thing called In Bed by 9, which is kind of like, putting on events for in smaller venues or for bands and stuff like that. So he's really savvy and knows what's going on in the scene, who's playing and, working hard and releasing stuff. And so he's got, bands that he really loves. And, I respectively also throw in a few bands of some bands that I've worked with that I think are working hard and should be on the festival. So we kind of, work there a little bit as a team, but predominantly it's, Matt's kind of choices for stuff.
He needed to be more busy, did he? Because he always seems to be, a lot of the Australian bands I go and watch, there's Yogi.
Well, as we speak, he's on a plane to America.
Oh, jeez.
And he's about to kick off his first tour with Parkway Drive, tour managing Parkway Drive. So,
oh wow!
And also Tash Sultana. So he started with us, 20 odd years ago.
Yeah.
Carrying some guitars and booking some hotels and just working out some of the logistics. When we need a little bit of help, and we're all really good friends. And it just, he's just kept working super hard and gathered the relationships and proved himself, and he's worked his way up, so to speak, and now he's doing Parkway Drive, and it's just such a great thing to know and see, one of your really good friends and tour managers of the band, and he's been with us from day one, just finding himself in that position, and that's just it's just fantastic,
Yeah.
And he's worked with a lot of different bands, obviously, as well, Butterfly Effect, a lot of other bands. So just, and he's not going to be there at the festival, unfortunately, because he actually got this gig with Parkway Drive. So, we're going to miss him. But at the same token, it's like we're all, completely behind him and, just want him to go out and do what he does best. And, look after Parkway and Tash Sultana and it's just fantastic news,
Having watched COG all the way back from 2003 or so at the Trocadero, I just remember he's always been there. He always seemed like he was the fourth member of COG.
Yeah, basically. I mean, it's been an interesting time for us growing as people and as friends, and we've had our disagreements, and Yogi's tough but fair, and when we think there's no other way, he finds a way, and he gets the job done, and he's just really reliable in so many respects. So it's he was a bass player in a band too. He's playing in a punk band.
Did not know that.
Yeah, and he just found the niche for kind of tour managing, and we did, as us as a band, we didn't know what was going to happen, where we were going to go, if it was going to work, or if people were going to like what we were doing. And he was probably kind of like, well, I don't quite know, what I'm doing, but but I'm having fun, and we were all kind of having fun,
Yeah,
on a journey together, I guess, and it's just kind of blossomed and grown from there. So yeah, he's definitely been a rock and a really important integral part of the COG unit, over the years. Putting on this festival too is something he's always wanted to do. Help all the up and coming bands, the bands that he knows that they need some time on stage in front of on a good stage, a big stage, in front of in front of people, and then he does the In Bed by 9 as well. He's really working hard to cultivate and keep healthy the music scene in many respects.
100%, man. And I'm excited for the other festival. Like I said, it's a great lineup, and like you said, I mean, you don't tour too much, so whenever it is a chance to see COG, it is good to try and jump on and see. You don't get old seeing live, so
not yet.
No. I mean, you mentioned just before, like, the word journey.
Yeah,
I kind of wanted to bring up Just Visiting hit 20 years last year, I believe, and we're only 2 years away from the new normal hitting 20.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
I know, right?
Both of those releases, 3 if you count 2 parts of Just Visiting, they hold up so perfectly and so unique to this day. The New Normal, that album was a huge part of my formative years as a musician. It taught me so much about structure, soundscapes, and tone. It still resonates with me the same today. I still use those, I guess you call, lessons that I learned from that album itself. For you, reflecting back now, how does that album resonate with you and the memories of touring with that album?
I guess you could, if you're pretty lucky, if you can then still enjoy playing the songs that you wrote that long ago now. Yeah, they don't. I'm always trying, especially when I play them live, because there's 2 different, environments. There's obviously just the listening environment, kicking back, listening to it. And then there's the playing them live, and then reflecting on both of those things. So playing them live is always, I wouldn't say a challenge, but it's to feel comfortable. Maybe that's got to do with that we just don't play that much, but I'm always finding that there's areas and ways that I can carve out I guess, new ways of playing the songs, but obviously keeping them as they are, but just feeling them in a different way, and playing with them in a different way, you know. So, you know, the song's the same, you'll hear it, it's the same, but there's a certain state of mind or a certain technique or a certain way of approaching the song or playing the song that you're kind of fresh and new at it, you know, from a new perspective, you know. And that can be a myriad of things there that can help that. But I'm really happy about that, and I really like that aspect. That I don't feel like when I sit on the drum stool and I play the songs, I'm so bored of this, or I'm not.
Yeah,
I don't really like this. It's really interesting that it can be that long in the timeline with when they were written and when they were recorded, and you still find them really enjoyable to play. And then from the listening experience and listening back, there's a few things obviously as an artist that, you know, you probably hear many of them say it, but like there's, you know, a few things that you probably want to change or, you know, just try and approach differently or whatever. But it is what it is. It's a timestamp of what we were capturing at the time, and we were really absolutely over the moon with it. And I still think, you know, it holds up today, and it seems to.
Oh, definitely does.
Yeah, given the feedback that we get and the interest to still hear and see the band live. Yeah, I guess I'm just really, really proud of being able to accomplish something like that, given our circumstances and where we were at the time, you know, with the tools that we had at our disposal, you know, to try and see something be realised like that. And then, you know, it to be, I guess, carried on and people still resonate with it. Yeah, definitely, you know, sonically it had a grit to it, you know, like it had a real grit to it. And I think the dynamics in the songwriting and the approach that we were trying to find, which was this balance between, you know, some kind of like really distorted sections of music, but then, you know, pulling back and having some soundscapey kind of more stripped back and pulled back sections, but always trying to find a hook and a good melody, and always trying to, you know, create in the lyrical content a narrative or, you know, some type of riddle and, you know, something that people could kind of, you know, I guess have fun with and question, well, what are they going on about? what are they talking about, you know?
Yeah.
Talking a little bit in parables and riddles, you know what I mean? Opposed to where Sharing Space, I think, was a little bit more direct, and a little bit more to the point. Yeah, it's you know, I guess when you look back at something like that, and you feel, you know, happy about all the songs that are on the record too. And there's still one song we've never played live, and that's
the last song.
Yeah, Naming the Elephant.
Yeah.
So, and we were going to actually try to play that one on the Monolith tour that we just did with Carnival, but we couldn't quite pull it together. Just didn't have the time and down and really, you know, kind of crunch it out. But I'm sure we'll get there one day, and it's like it's a goal of the band.
At least you got a goal. I mean, that's
yeah,
good.
like, we've got one goal to try and play that song once live.
that one song.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully I get to be there because it's one of the only songs I've never seen you play live.
Yeah,
so.
well, that's right. Maybe we'll do a tour and we'll just be that song. There'll be no other song.
Just play it until you get it right.
Yeah, just bear with us for a minute.
Yeah. You did touch on the lyrical content in that, and what I wanted to kind of bring up as well was the whole point that, especially the New Normal and, like you said, Sharing Space was in your face. You know, all those songs were emotion driven. There was always a message. You know, there was a story behind every song, be it political or not, something else. There was always some kind of power force behind the songs, and even the videos, like especially Run. You know, I can't remember exactly what it was, but you had something on your toms, which we probably shouldn't say on air, but you had something written on there that was, you know, very direct. What I wanted to ask, we won't say it out loud.
Yeah,
What I wanted to ask was, you know, like, it is sort of politically a different time now, but it is kind of the same with those messages. Personally, how do you feel like they translate in today's social climate?
Well, I mean, it was pretty interesting having the name of an album called The New Normal, and then only 2 years ago, you pretty much got every political leader on the planet, on the earth, turning around going, a new normal. Everyone's have to adjust to a new normal. So, there's understandings and ideas and feelings about things, and that we kind of addressed, back in the day with the new normal and sharing space, and things that we were seeing, things we were concerned about, and things we wanted to kind of air and put into lyrical content, so people could kind of get up to speed with some things.
Yeah.
There's one narrative which they call the Ministry of Truth, which is the mainstream media, and their corporations behind that will always fuel a side of the argument or a side of the story. But there is plenty of alternative voices out there with very intelligent and great understanding in an opposite narrative or something that's counter to that, which can leave the the person who's interested in understanding what's going on in the world a choice of basically digesting for themselves and coming up with their own thoughts and feelings and ideas on actually really what's going on.
I guess it's just trying to make the hard part is making it not a one-sided argument where the corporations are the winning side, like people are listening. I guess that was kind of the point of the new normal and sharing space, was it was trying to make sure the message was heard and that people weren't just looking at the one-sided argument.
Yeah, well, we're kind of lucky now too, to some degree, because we've got so many different platforms and so many different streams of information that we can gather from, to draw our own conclusions on things, which is great. And I think back then we were trying to open that suggestion up that there's not just one narrative, and the one narrative can be just propaganda and can basically be lying to you and in different ways and whatnot. So just be aware of that. Just kind of understand that, know that. Search for different mediums and different ways of sourcing out what's actually going on with the current situation that might be involved in your life, and somewhat involved in everybody's life, So yeah, those two albums were very much along those lines, just trying to understand the world as well, just what we're involved in, and not only that, also from a personal, you could say, inner reflective side of ourselves, which is what we call a spiritual path, or what's going on with with our connection with what the hell we're doing here, and what is this experience that we're having. So there was those more conscious philosophical elements of ourselves that we were liking to put into the songs and talk about and sing about.
Yeah, because I mean, you guys really were, off the top of my head, one of the only bands that were kind of trying to send that message out in Australia, at least. Like, I know there's bands across the world, but you guys definitely paved the way for that kind of talk within Australia, and especially with the time you guys came in, where it was a big change within probably the first 5 years. There was Channel V and all that kind of jazz.
Yeah,
all just kind of dissipated, and then in the small time that you guys were apart, I mean, tons more change. So.
Yeah, and it's interesting now too. It's watching everything kind of play out, and still trying to keep ourselves somewhat integral to our music and our stance on things, not compromising, and looking at the way the world's going and seeing certain narratives play out and not agreeing with them and not wanting to be a part of them, and just kind of sticking to our core beliefs, and that's been a real, especially obviously in the last 2.5 years, because that's been a test for everyone.
Oh, 100%.
in their core, you know, and where they stand and what they feel they believe and what they see as true and what they know. So that's been an incredibly interesting period the last 2.5 years. So for us, I think one of the most important things that we've done over the last, you know, few years with everything that's going on in the current situation is to, as a band, as a collective, is to stand by our core beliefs and understandings and say we don't agree with something.
Yeah.
And, you know, and make sure that our integrity is intact, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's probably one of the best things we've done aside from releasing, you know, 3 albums, you know? I really do. I think that's something that actually can't be, you know, it can be put into a song or whatever, but, you know, we made some pretty bold statements.
Oh, definitely.
Out online and, you know, to the rest of, you know, the music and community and, you know, the business community of music and, you know, our core fans and all the rest of it. And I think that people really got an idea, especially our fans really got an idea of who we were and what we stand by and we're not compromising, you know.
Yeah, and that's definitely shone through, you know, over the last 20 plus years, or about 20 years, you know.
Yeah. Because it's an interesting time, you know.
I know, what a time to be in COG.
Yeah, that's right. And I think, you know, maybe things have got to play out a little bit more before we can, you know, find our response to things, because it is so crazy. And you could come out and you could talk about many aspects and things, but a lot of dust hasn't settled yet. So
definitely,
it's probably a good idea to be an observer and, you know, take in what's going on, and then there'll come a time, you know, when possibly COG will drop their thoughts and feelings.
I know what you mean.
On things, on the new narrative.
All right, mate. Look, I've got to start wrapping this up.
Yeah, all good. No worries, Dan.
The other festival takes place on Saturday, January 28th, like I said, at the Tivoli in Brisbane. Look, we'll have all the links in the bio and all the info everyone needs to see the lineup and grab tickets. Yeah, look, man, it's been an absolute pleasure, Lucius. You know, thank you for taking some time away this morning to have a chat with us today. Yeah,
thanks for having me, Dan. Thanks for doing what you're doing, and yeah, really appreciate it, mate. Yeah, send me a few links or whatever.
Yeah, mate, it's been an honour. Thank you so much.
Yeah, awesome, mate.
All right, catch you later, mate.
Have a great day. See you, mate.
You too, mate. See ya.
Bye.